you're a home buyer, somebody or a young person looking to buy a home, you need a bit of a reset.
There is a possibility on the other side of this that inflation could actually be quite low.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and I'm going to tell you guys everything that I learned by taking my trip to the West Coast, driving roughly 6,000 miles and almost 110 hours of drive time. And you guys should remember, I drove from Houston to Dallas, from Dallas to Denver, from Denver to Salt Lake City, from Salt Lake City to Boise, from Boise to Reno, Reno, Sacramento, Sacramento, Bakersfield, Bakersfield, Las Vegas, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Phoenix, El Paso, and then home. So I have a lot to share with you guys today about what I learned and why I spent $5,000 doing this. Now, a few of the things I'm going to discuss today is the first thing is how underreported the inventory actually is. The second thing we're going to look at is the overwhelming amount of apartment building that's going on around the nation. Now, the third thing is how price increases and price decreases are absolutely deceiving. And basically without MLS data, we are literally flying blind. Another thing is the more supply or the more hyper supply a subdivision has, generally the better deal you're going to get, and generally the more distressed the builder is. Now, the other thing is we called it right on this channel. The prices of new homes are leading the nation as far as price decline, and the surrounding areas of the existing homes that are right next to these clusters of new home building are also seeing decline, especially in places like Texas. Now, the last thing I learned is you guys got to get out and you got to walk into these communities to see everything that I'm telling you for yourself. And if you guys found value in me driving across the nation, do me a favor, like the video, shoot me some comments below, hit notifications, and share the video. Now, I want to start by talking to you guys about how the inventory of new homes is drastically underreported. And this is something I've been talking to you guys a lot about. So what I found is, being on the road, I would access a site called New Home Source. New Home Source would essentially tell us where these pockets and clusters of new homes are. But what I found immediately, guys, is when I actually get to those subdivisions, in some, not all, okay? So the subdivisions that are older and built out, not so much, but the new subdivisions, sometimes I'm able to find like ridiculous numbers. You guys, like 3, 4, or 5 times more homes, boots on the ground, than what's being listed on anything, Zillow, Redfin, MLS, and the census data. And you guys, a lot of people think that everything is being reported on the census data. And if you think that, I got to tell you something, okay? You're wrong. And I want to show you you're wrong by going to the census data myself and showing you that they're warning us, hey, everything is underreported, and a lot of it is based on financial bias. Take a look, guys. Now, pay attention to this website, guys, New Home Source. I have found this incredibly helpful on my travel. So I would suggest to you guys, if you're in an area where there's new construction, go to New Home Source and see what's going on. But I wanted to show you guys Harrington Trails. This is a community I've been watching very closely because of all the trickery that's going on. This is a new Caney community in Texas. So Harrington Trails, according to New Home Source, has 31 new homes right now, and of which 16 have quick move-in options. So about 31 homes. Now, when I go to the actual MLS, which is the multiple listing service, it shows us 40 homes available. Okay, this is not under contract. When I put pending and under contract, it's actually 65. But again, you guys, this is showing 40 homes available. Now, the thing is, guys, and I've made 2 videos now on that subdivision. When I actually walk into that subdivision, I found over 150 homes. Again, over in that subdivision, over 150 homes. And it's not reported on MLS, it's not reported on New Home Source data, and it's not reported on the Census Bureau. So there is a massive lack of transparency and accountability when it comes to tracking new home information. And let me show you on the census data now. So we're on the same page. Here's the notes from the US Census data. I'm going to read this. These statistics are estimated from sample surveys. They are subject to sampling variability as well as non-sampling error, including bias and a variance from response, non-reporting, and under coverage. It literally says on the US Census data, under coverage. But that's not all, you guys. It also says on average, the total quantity response rate for these estimates is, are you ready? 76%. So if the response rate is really 76%, then how much inventory do we really have? Do you guys see my point? On a non-seasonally adjusted basis, we have 11 months of inventory right now with new home construction. Absolutely bonkers, you guys. Now, when I travel to places like Denver, Denver blew my mind, and Dallas as well. So, I saw it a lot in Dallas, but the apartment construction, you guys, when I went to Denver, I saw massive apartment building going on what seemed like on every single corner. And that was on many subdivisions. I'm just saying Denver had the most basically everywhere. But what I noticed is when I visit these clusters of new construction and these massive developments, I can always generally find apartment building going on. The difference between what I was able to find on average versus Denver is doing it everywhere, even in the places that are not heavy in new construction, like downtown and on the side of the freeway. There was a point in Denver where I drove about 10 miles and I probably saw 8 giant master planned apartment communities. And all that's going to do, guys, is continue to put pressure on rents going down because there's an overwhelming amount of inventory, but not just inventory, homes under construction. In 2024, about 700,000 units are going to come to the market. Let me show you. And just to put this in perspective, this chart goes all the way back to 1970. We have never had a period in time where we have had 988,000 units under construction right now. You can see that 988,000. This is for buildings with 5 units or more. I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, this has absolutely been skyrocketing. So naturally, as that inventory comes to the market, rents will continue to drop. I want to make a point that most of that inventory is coming to the market this year in 2024. So even without that explosion of inventory, prices for asking rents are still down. You can see that from this Redfin article, The Tide Turns for Renters, as asking rents post biggest decline in over 3 years. And now obviously that's a result also of overwhelming investor demand and everyone basically wanting to rent a house out. But I believe that's being fueled again by the competition from apartments. Now, through my travels in virtually every metro area, minus El Paso was incredibly tight. And one of the problems with El Paso as well is the new homes that I did find, which it wasn't many. There wasn't a lot of new home building going on, but the new home building that was going on was way out of reach of the normal local in El Paso. So here's what I want to say, guys. I saw areas that had both price decreases and price increases. And this is the point I want to make. Most of the time, those are tricks, even if the prices go up. And I've seen homes where the prices go up, but they're still under market value. And then I've seen homes with the prices being cut that are still way over market value. So the really important thing that I learned, especially, and I already knew this, but that was enhanced on the road, is we really don't know the price cuts. We don't know whether or not the price cuts are real or if it's a trick. And normally it's a trick. And generally the only way that we can determine whether or not price cuts are real is by accessing MLS data, multiple listing service data. Specifically, we need to review the comps or the homes that sold in the property's subdivision. And generally, you need to review 3. Now, I like to go back to 2020 just so I know what prices were in 2020, 2021, and 2022, 2023, just so I can see the equity growth. And then I determine as a buyer where I want to fit in. So, for example, I think if we can find homes with 2020 values right now, potentially a great deal. But I can find right now good deals. I look at good deals are basically as homes that are at 2021 values. So things are changing, you guys, drastically. Here in Houston, I can find 2021 prices all day and find good deals. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's still overpriced, but my point is, if you're doing this alone, you are flying blind. And without accessing the data, we really don't know if price cuts are real, and we're going to fall victim to a scam. Now, another really important thing that I learned as well is generally the more hyper supply or the more units that are just sitting at a new build facility or a site, generally the more in distress the builder is, because they can't hold on to that inventory, you guys, or well, they can hold on to it, but the longer they hold on to those homes that are already completed, the more expenses they have to pay in interest, potentially property taxes, potentially insurance. So the areas that have hyper supply of spec homes are generally going to be the areas where you're going to find true price cuts. And I see that happening all day in a subdivision called Tavola in the area that I live in, Houston. Tavola dropped their prices to about 2021 prices, absolutely killing the people in 2022. But Tavola, for the most part, dropped their prices at 2021. And then Lennar offered a 4.5 interest rate. Now, as a result of that, they're selling out their community like crazy. So there's still, or at least in Houston, there's still people purchasing. But my point is Tavola was once had hyper supply. They lowered their prices, they lowered their interest rates below the competition, below the surrounding areas. And as a result of that, people went flooding in and purchased. But on other areas that are already built out that maybe have 10, 15, or 20 houses, those are going to be areas where the builder, like in Kings Mill in Kingwood, where the builder is going to be stubborn and keep the prices high. And again, I see that all day in Kings Mill. If you're in the Houston area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But some builders aren't lowering prices. Generally, the prices are being, again, lowered when there's hyper supply of spec homes and builder competition everywhere. And Kings Mill has builder competition, but not too much competition. Again, that's in Houston. Now, another thing I learned on the road was basically we hit a home run. The channel hit the home run. My forecasting hit a home run when it comes to new homes. Existing homes, I was off. Unemployment, I was off. Foreclosures, I was off. But I was spot on when it came to new homes. The reason I'm saying that is the price decline with new homes is going to lead the nation as far as price decline. We see that happening all day in Texas, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Many of those metro areas have already shown year-over-year decline. Well, obviously Austin, right? Obviously Austin's leading, but many of the metro areas, top metro areas in Texas, are seeing price declines with existing homes, which I believe is as a result of these massive clusters of new homes, especially in Austin. So when you get these new communities surrounding existing homes, and those new homes are selling for under the price of existing homes, plus they're offering closing costs, plus they're offering low interest rates, the only way that a lot of these existing home sellers can even sell their house is they have to compete with these new home builders. And how do they compete with the new home builders? They drop the prices and offer sellers concessions. And that's exactly what we see happening in Texas. And remember, you guys, Texas is the state with the most amount of new construction building going on. So there is no question to me, home price decline is being led by new homes. But here's the other side of that. That's also propping up certain areas because the builders aren't going down enough. And not only that, it's being propped up still because they are not reporting sellers concession. Well, we got a few things propping up the market right now. Obviously, the liquidity and money printing, the lack of inventory, but the fact that the new home builders aren't telling us and showing us the true prices of these houses. You're supposed to remove sellers' concessions from value, and they don't do that, especially, well, if they're paying closing costs, they will. But what I'm specifically talking about is like rate buy downs and super duper low fixed rates that cost $20,000, $30,000 to buy down. Now, the other thing that I learned, guys, is on the road, and this one was probably the most shocking thing of all, especially in places like Phoenix. Phoenix blew me away, and Dallas blew me away. A lot of these new home builders are leaning heavily, not just on a government bailout, but are leaning heavily on migration. And especially in areas like Boise, Phoenix, areas of Las Vegas, and Dallas, you guys, I have never in my life imagined that I would have seen thousands and thousands of empty spec homes. To me, that is a huge danger to these builders. But, going around talking to them, especially in Phoenix, because I asked the reps, I'm like, hey, you guys worried? I mean, you guys have 500 houses and only 2 of them sold. Are you guys worried? And, obviously they kind of BS'd me, but they told me that they're not worried because the migration into Phoenix as a result of the job market. So if the job market goes and the migration stopped, some of these areas that are heavy in new construction are going to completely fall apart. And in fact, I have no idea why people are still flooding to Vegas. I have no idea. Vegas is its own thing, you guys. Vegas is, for the area, the size of the area, that's going to be one of the number one leading metro areas of decline. Has it declined yet? No, because people are still purchasing and the builders are offering crazy incentives. But, I would say the worst out of any metro area I've been to, I'm going to say Phoenix. I mean, they are almost entirely leaning on migration, as is Dallas. All the spec homes in Dallas, I got so much hate in my comments. People are like, no, there's people moving here every day. The migration, the migration, the migration. But you guys, migration is stopping. Migration is slowing down. They're going to be left holding the bag. But again, here's the thing. Initially, I was worried about them stopping construction, but I believe even if prices went down another 15%, they're already down 15%. If they went down another 15%, in prices for new homes, I still think the builders will continue to build because they have room to go down 15% and it's still profitable from them. The problem is they haven't gone down enough on price and they're doing it various other ways. Closing cost contributions, paying your realtor 5%, giving you a rate buy down and not reporting that. So there's a lot going on right now, obviously, when it comes to new homes. Now, the last thing is that I want to tell you, and this is really what I learned, is you guys got to go out for yourself. There's no way for me to put into words the deceit and deception that's going on with new home construction. Now, I believe the reason why we see the West Coast and the Sun Belt losing values, why we see homes losing values in those areas, is because those are the areas that are predominant with new construction. Now, in order for me to test this theory, I'm actually in a few days, I'm going to go out east. Okay. So I'm going to cover the East Coast. I'm going to go to the Carolinas. I'm going to go to New York, Washington, DC. I'm going to go to places like that. This to make sure that I don't see massive pockets of new construction like we do on the West Coast and Sun Belt, which again would mean that new home construction would be leading the crash and would be leading the decline in prices. So again, I'm going out to the East Coast. I'll have another recap on the East Coast, but going to the West Coast, going to the Sun Belt and driving 6,000 miles, I got to tell you guys, I have never been more sure than I am right now that new homes will continue to lead turmoil in the housing market as far as prices. Prices will go down. And again, even though they're already down, it's not enough to make it affordable for the natives. The migration destroyed affordability for the natives. That was a big reason. Obviously, the low interest rates as well, and the money printing as well. But when someone moves from California to Houston, they make a lot more money. So their PE, price to earning ratio, may be 1, whereas mine is 5, and I can't buy because I'm priced out. So migration is a big factor. I think that's really going to be a big thing as far as East Coast. But honestly, guys, as far as West Coast and the Sun Belt, even if migration continues, I just don't see how people can continue to afford those houses. We're talking about new construction that are not for natives. They're not for the median household income. It's for rich people that are moving in. It's the craziest thing I ever seen. But anyways, if you guys found value from this video and me driving across the nation, hit like, hit subscribe. And other than that, I really hope you guys got some additional value, insights, and perspective, and understand I'm driving around for you. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck, and I hope you win.